No one is perfect. You have to know that we're going to have times where people are going to hurt us. We're probably going to hurt other people. Even like even the leaders, the imam of the masjid can make mistakes. They're not, but we go so harsh on them and we want to take them out of their leadership just because they made this small mistake. And we're going to kick them out and so on. Or just because they said something it didn't, you didn't like. And I've seen it in the masajid all the time. This imam is nothing, is, although he's doing great job, but because he disagreed with you in one of the opinions or something like that, and then that's it. This person will go to the board of directors. They will convince the board of director to kick this out or fire them and get somebody else or something like this, and there is no stability in the masjid and problems happen just because what? Because somebody disagreed with somebody else, you know so we have to respect the leaders. Sometimes leaders see things different than what we see, and they know the other part of the story. Like someone comes to the imam and start complaining about somebody. That person, the other person who is complaining about, could be that he came to him and he told him about a different story about what the other person did to him you know so the imam didn't want to tell him that, oh, the other person told me this about you. No, he will advise him, please don't do this, do the other thing. But he did this and he did that. He said, okay, yes, I understand. But he wouldn't tell him that the other person talked to me already. Or like, I'm going to ask him or something. Why? Because he doesn't want to make that problem. So the other person doesn't like the answer of the imam. And that happens all the time. Respect the imams. Sometimes they see things we don't see. They know the story better than us. They know and they hear the others, and so they are the ones from outside the problem, so they can judge better. And even in the sharia says, if there is a judge that they become empathizing with one case, or they get so angry or something like that, it's better to take a time off, think about it better and calm down and then come back so they can do a better judgment, so the emotions won't fog their vision. It's us, the ones who are inside the problem, that have this fog of emotions. Sometimes it actually make us make decisions that we regret about later on. Does that make sense? Inshallah. Yes. Okay. So always respect the leaders. Finally, where can we fix the diseases of the heart? Now, I want a quick summary of these solutions. I already talked about a lot of solutions, but I want you to summarize them for me. And that will be our last things, inshallah. What did you learn from our lecture, inshallah? Don't make assumption about other people. Very good. Yes. Let me see if the online people are participating as well. Okay. It says we always have to speak good words or stay silent. Very good, Sister Hong Kim. You know that happiness is actually a state of mind. Many people, they try to find happiness in other people, in other materialistic things. It's from here. It comes from here. It doesn't come from outside inside. No, it's from inside outside. If you're happy inside, you actually make other people happy around you too. SubhanAllah. Yeah. Yes. Be happy for what others have and make dua for them all the time. Very good advice. MashaAllah. Yes, sister. Muraqaba means watching yourself. Self awareness, right? When you said self analysis, that's good. Yeah. You analyze yourself, see what went wrong. What's wrong with, maybe there's something wrong with me. You know, it's very hard for narcissists to see that. They never see about themselves that they're wrong. They always have to blame the other person. So that's why we always like tell people like this to go to counseling, because it's kind of like open their eyes to see themselves a little bit, to open that heart to see what's wrong with them so they can fix themselves, right? So always have self-awareness, and that's taqwa. Abu Hanifa, I think, or Shafi'i was asked, I don't know who was it, but he was asked, is like, what is taqwa? He says, when you are walking in a field that is full of thorns, how do you walk? He said, I walk very careful so the thorns won't poke me and I won't be hurt. He said, that's taqwa. Umar, Umar ibn Khattab. I'm not really sure who actually said it, but yeah, one of the Sahaba or Tabi'in. I'm not really sure. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, get yourself busy with something else, instead of busy about what people say. Right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So finally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ. And I'm sorry that I can't read it with the tajweed today. فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون. And hold firmly to the rope of Allah altogether. So how do we fix all these problems? First, having the rope of Allah, being believers, strong believers, doing the right things, what Allah tells us, keep the command. And remember the favor of Allah upon you when you were enemies. Look at that, enemies. That means, he's talking over here about the Al-Aws wal Khazraj. They were two tribes that they were always fighting. One is from Mecca and one from Medina. They were always fighting with each other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding them is what really brought you together is not because you are good to each other. It's because of Islam, because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what brought. I mean, look at us. We're all from different nationalities. Somebody from India, somebody from Pakistan. I'm from Arab country, and so on. But what really brought us together? Islam. Subhanallah. Yes. And remember the favor of Allah upon you when you were enemies, and He brought your hearts together, and you became by His favor brothers, and you were on the edge of a pit of the fire, and He saved you from it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, be grateful of what you have. Have gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thus does Allah make clear to you His verses that you may be guided. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the guidance. So Jazakumullah khair all for coming today. But we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring our hearts together and bring the love to each other and make us love for each other like what we love for ourselves. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to heal us and to cure these diseases of the heart in our community and in our hearts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us and protect our family, protect our community, to be light in this community, and for other non-Muslims who come over here, or for the new Muslims who come here and they see that we are lights in here, that we guiding other people. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to lighten our paths, to make this Quran as spring for our hearts and to have the center of our hearts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala أن يحسن خلقنا كما حسن خلقنا, to beautify our manners as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautified our shapes and our appearances. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our sins, for our shortcomings, for our temper. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us in having empathy and sympathy for others. We have sensitivity for others. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to always make us good to each other and make us have that bond between the sisters and brothers in the community. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the unity in the community. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah reward you. And أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم. I say this and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. If I say something right, then it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I say something wrong, then it is from myself or from shaitan, and I ask Allah for forgiveness. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان في خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه جزاكم الله خيرا. Thank you so much, sister. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I love you all for the sake of Allah.